PS player taken out. TviQ, he's just alone trying to shut off a flanking route.
Yeah, he was waiting for something. He actually found neptuNo ultimately. That actually happened off screen. So TviQ spending that time behind the point actually paying off for him in quite a big way. The point's being contested, but Misfits haven't even given over the first tick, so they're going to move back into position now. neptuNo obviously not being present, no chances to really charge up that EMP, and you can already see that Kolsti's absconding pretty rapidly. He's very low on HP, and yet Movistar are still keeping some pressure applied here. They're keeping CWoosH quite close, even if he's forced into reflecting, just maintaining a presence here in front of Misfits.
This is one of the only times that we've seen them run tank comps into something else. There goes a real tempo nano boost out from Zebbosai. He gets dived onto in the back, and they've used their EMP. This is the collapse coming out from Movistar Riders. This is their game plan. neptuNo builds up that EMP. What are you going to do? You have to sit there and defend the point, and you don't get a chance to recontest.
Absolutely inexorable stuff there. I mean, we knew it would be coming, Christopher. We knew that Movistar would be bringing this aggression out. Nevix obviously switching over towards the 76 after the McCree went down, but again, like, how do you combat this? neptuNo went from 36% ultimate to 100%, like, between the start of the fight and the middle of the fight where he actually used that EMP.
Yeah. The Sombra makes it really difficult because the correct way to play against it, you have to play aggressive. You have to try and damage them because they don't really have healing to heal it back up. But if you do too much chip damage, they're going to get EMP.
Now another fight starting here as well. You can see the sound barrier for Misfits has been used, and actually they come out fairly strong in this fight. CWoosH is actually kept out of the action for the most part. He did find Nevix, but TviQ still able to, perform similarly on the other side. Gets into the back line and finds Dante. He's able to now pressure over the payload a little bit more. Mineral, though, getting a little bit too close for comfort. Logix is also going in and trying to get these assassinations. TviQ now has to deal with a primal rage. Kolsti, Logix found a pulse bomb towards reinforced, and TviQ now needs to step up, but he's so low, he does leave a pulse bomb, but he's dropped it on the big angry Winston.
Logix is just a god tier tracer. Honestly, Movistar Riders have some fantastic individual stars, and Misfits are moving to this triple DPS composition, trying to mirror match them. Again, the kind of style that we've seen from them. They want to play the same thing that their opponents are. Manneten over on the Genji as well. Nevix and TviQ, they're notorious, legendary for their Genji play. Again, making kind of odd compositions, at least from our perspective, outside the team. And so far, not getting the results they want in these early fights.
Yeah, not what they're looking for at all. Manneten drops fairly early to Kolsti. Now, Finnsi has high ground control. Guess who doesn't? It's Misfits. He's going to bear down upon Mineral pretty comfortably there, and even neptuNo, of course, could pop off in his own way in the meantime. There was nothing that Misfits could do to address the fact that Finnsi had that high ground and attack visor. They were already engaged in a fight. They didn't have heroes that could access that high ground, and finally Manneten realizes we need a little bit more presence up on high. But they're going to have possibly one more fight here, Christopher, before they have to move into the last phase.
Yeah, and they've already had to hard swap two people. Nevix has now gone the Genji, Manneten, and D.Va, so they don't have any ults to deal with it. It's going to be really tricky.
Why is this a thing? CWoosH is going to get bionated and forced to back away, but he still finds reinforcement. The Shurikens and now the Dragon Blade's out. Fortunately, though, a little bit hard for CWoosH. Nevix finds him now. Him switching towards Genji seems to have made a small difference. CWoosH don't care, though. He had the D-suit on Manneten already. neptuNo again, leave him late in the fights, and he will be an issue. A thorn in the side, a ticking time bomb, if you will. And Movistar Riders just plow through Misfits.
And now Misfits, again, in general, have been moving to Reinhardt-centric compositions towards the end. So are they going to make another switch, lose ultimate, lose momentum? Movistar Riders are applying so much pressure already towards their backlines, and whatever Misfits are coming up with isn't working. They haven't had an opportunity to stabilize and really try and get these compositions in a position where they would work.
So you see that, right? The individual skill is present on Misfits in spades. TviQ just drops in, and it's a casual, lazily lobbed pulse bomb towards Finnsi, and this is what we see from him all the time.
Fantastic player, potentially one of the best in the world.
Yeah. And still, for someone so versatile, it is actually his undoing more often than it is where he finds his biggest successes. Now another fight's coming in. Reinforces the one that actually gets nano boosted. He's knocked away in the Transcendence. Kolsti actually can't be healed for the moment. I think the Bionade's now timed out. He's going to benefit from the Transcendence, and Reinforce couldn't use that window to pick him off. At least TviQ found Logix, and you can see that Movistar Riders quite reverent to the fact they've lost their tracer. They are going to back away for a moment.
Both support ults used for both teams over the course of the last couple of fights. They're more defensive for Movistar Riders as well. Misfits can be forced to aggress into them. Another Dragon Blade comes out from Nevix.
He's forced this one. He's just pulled it out and says, I need to go for something now. I need to try and stop this momentum from building. It's worked for the most part. He only found a 1 kill, but that is sufficient unless Movistar Riders can break back in the late part of the fight. Now, Manneten fell to a pulse bomb from Logix. I believe that was Baby D.Va getting pulse bombs, so maybe, interesting use of that one, but it's still enough to keep Movistar ticking forward. CWoosH has a Dragon Blade as well. We've seen him do disgusting, unholy things with that weapon so far in this tournament, and Christopher, I don't see Misfits stopping them here.
No, they have no ults to stop it. Finnsi, if he's going to get high ground, is going to do a lot of damage, and then CWoosH can distract the backline with the blade. This could be pretty bad for them.
With the sound barrier as well, able to get into the backline to slice onto Zebbosai. The tournament hopes for Misfits. They absolutely have to win this map, and so far, Movistar Riders are destroying them.
Yep, not on the same page, there's no doubt about it. Not even on the same level so far. The Misfits looking very much like they're living up to their name right now. No comp is really working for them, and Movistar Riders are showing them exactly how you execute on that dive composition. Now, for those who are watching and wondering what could happen after this game, the fact of the matter is that Misfits need to win every map here. Every map. If they lose even one map, we are essentially playing out a dead rubber series. And we will do that because we're here for good Overwatch, but Misfits will already be out. I don't know how that's going to affect them. I don't even want to think about that. They now need to really step up. Yeah. That was a pretty fast time from Movistar.
That was lightning fast. Movistar look like they are playing with the level of synergy that they do when they're at the top of their game. They just roll through them there. I think the constant switching from Misfits is also their undoing when they get into a snowball situation where they're constantly on the back foot. They've got spawners coming in. They've got no opportunity to stabilize. Such aggression, massive amounts of pressure coming out from Movistar.
Their ult economy is literally non-existent.
Yeah.
It's non-existent.
Yeah, there was 2 or 3 fights in that match where you say Misfits have 0 tools to win this fight because they just have no ults, and Riders have everything. Just because they're making so many hard swaps, changing everyone, they just don't have ults. You put yourself in such a bad position.
And they're changing, like, you've already got a diva, right? You've got someone playing diva, but all of a sudden someone else is playing diva, so the other person that was playing diva can play something they wanted to play. If you're so flexible, keep the diva. Keep the ult percent. At least it means you can get a free resuit if you get too low and you just want to throw an ult out. I mean, Misfits, we talk about teams finding their color. Like, I like the fact that Misfits can swap or are willing to swap. But they're doing so at their own detriment here.
Yeah, I think another issue as well is that they simply just didn't win any of the team fights. It would have looked different had they swapped over and won a team fight. That would have set their ultimate economy up. And eventually, if you're going to be losing every team fight, there's no way that you're going to be able to win no matter what composition you've got. They didn't have a fight that went favorably for them at all throughout their defensive Hollywood. Right.
So, bio grenades come in, of course. The opening salvo, pretty standard. It's going to be Misfits to roll out. Now, they come straight with a dive. TviQ's going to be on the Genji here. Manneten. Now, this is what would make more sense to me personally, this kind of composition for Misfits in terms of how the DPSs are assigned here. You can see that neptuNo just coming forward as well, getting a little bit of harassment done and just trying to get a bit of scout on what Misfits are going to be bringing in here. Movistar need to be ready for a dive.
I like this Sombra coming out from neptuNo, running on a lot of maps. He's really good at it as well. Reinforcing to the back line, manages to trade. DPS player as well. neptuNo already at 60% of his ultimate. Really
smart from Kolsti there. He stood in the way of he stood in the way of Reinforce, who wanted to get in and cleave onto a bunch of support players inside the cafe. Christopher, that looked pretty cerebral.
It's very high level Winston gameplay. Like if you can identify a chokehold and just stand in the way, the enemy tanks can't get through.
Must be so annoying. That was an EMP coming out defensively from neptuNo there as well. He's got a chance here to try and get some hack over on towards TviQ. He actually got taken down anyway here. Misfits are in disarray. Movistar was so decisive, so well drilled on that attack. They came in very comfortable getting towards the cafe, getting the picks off here. Misfits have been all over the place here.
They have. They really haven't found any way, and they've switched Zebbosai over as well. So now they're building up a nano boost, which should be decent at being able to crack this one open. Give it over to TviQ. He's got an opportunity to open it up, but he's only at 11% right now, and they still need to do a couple of dry pushes, try and force out maybe Dante's ultimate or potentially the EMP when it's up in about 10-20 seconds.
Manneten now as well, looking for his potential pulse bomb target here, but he's unable to find too much. He's getting chased down as well. He's down to 3, forced to recall prematurely, no less. Nevix with attack visor on the low ground in the open when he has a bionic grenade. If that doesn't spell desperation and confusion, I don't know what does.
That's really unfortunate for them as well. They don't force out really a single high-impact ultimate other than Kolsti's Primal Rage, and they're getting battered back all the way to their spawn here. Misfits are starting to get the tools that they need to crack this one open. Zebbosai at 80% of his nano boost as well. They've got the other support ultimate there, the sound barrier, to be able to engage in. But Movistar have got tons of their own as well.
Nevix on the McCree here. Again, there's a big danger factor, of course, if you're playing up against his defensive dive cup. It seems like everyone on Misfits is trying to take this game into their own hands and try and carry it themselves with some sort of pick. Guess what? Nevix just got flat and he's a pancake because Kolsti jumped right on top of him. Of course, you're vulnerable as McCree trying to push in as an attacker. A risk that Nevix was clearly willing to take, but it definitely hasn't paid off at all. TviQ had a chance to do some work here, and Manneten is helping him out on the point. They're getting damage done, but Manneten gets forced away. Kolsti has been all over these DPSs.
Kolsti has played brilliantly so far. It's very difficult to play Winston and still create space when you only have a solo healer in this situation. But every single jump he's making is absolutely perfect. He's played it really well so far.
What do you do for the Misfits? You have 1 minute and 10 seconds left. You have some of those ultimates. They've been holding on for a bit. Now it's going to be a Nano Blade coming out for TviQ. What will neptuNo do? How can he shut this down? TviQ's found SWoosH already. neptuNo's not really sure where he's going, and Finnsi comes in with attack visor. He's shut down the biggest hope of Misfits, the Nano Blade of TviQ. Nothing he could do about it there. Kolsti as well is going to get involved, and neptuNo finally decides to appear in the fight. And once he does, he finds his mark. Nevix is no more, and Movistar Riders maintain this first point even still.
Really smart from neptuNo there to hold on to the EMP until the beat got dropped and then just completely negate it and win the fight by that.
40 seconds left here. Reinforce is the only guy with an ultimate over on his team. They're really not going to get that much up as well. They have to go for the push now. Loads of ultimates just expended from both sides. If they can get a nice clean push, potential for them to start snowballing.
Primal Rage to reinforce now as well. He's trying to be the monkey in the China shop, or maybe it's a cafe. Either way, he's put to sleep immediately. Everything Misfits are trying to do is being shut down. Movistar Riders are one step ahead of him at all times. neptuNo finds Nevix yet again. There's nothing the cowboy can do. Not even the stun grenades helping him out against the hacker. And now Manneten's going to get EMP'd. No pulse bomb for you, and Logix just swoops in. It's a tap on the top of the head. It's a pat on the back. It's a get back to the pavilion, sons. You're done, Misfits. Nothing in this one. Nothing. Their heart is not in this.
They're not in this tournament anymore. That's crazy. I think this is actually really important for Misfits as well. If they go out 4-0 here, their morale is just going to be in tatters in terms of like their long-term performance as the team. They need to start pulling things together. And that early pick onto Kolsti is definitely going to help. The single tank in that composition going down gives Misfits a massive amount of room to work with. Manneten doing a good job on the D.Va as well. Great composition to play into the triple DPS.
Just stick on the D.Va Manneten for now as well. He's been in one of his best performances. His eye has also been really good over the course of these last few days as well. He's very good on that flex roll. Just a bit of confusion maybe about when it comes to the DPS part, which he's also good at. I'm not saying he's not, but again, it's just hard to follow Misfits at the moment. It's like it's trying to watch 60 Hertz Overwatch. It's difficult. Or no Overwatch as well, as our preview screen wants to cut out. That's fine. I've got one up here to watch. Oh, it's back. Okay. Someone heard me talk about the refresh rate and decided to kill the feed.
But Movistar actually took that fight in the end despite losing Kolsti. They were applying so much pressure to Manneten and they'd already got the pick on to reinforce that they weren't able to actually push forwards. They're expending the defense matrix and putting so much pressure on Manneten, the rest of his team wasn't able to push forwards. And eventually they get Kolsti back in the mix, they're able to dive again. Loads of pressure and damage coming out onto Kolsti, but Misfits aren't able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, he gets away somehow. I mean, it wasn't exactly sprinting at a rate of knots. He kind of just lumbered away from the fight. And it looks like Misfits were in any position to chase him down. So Kolsti comes back with the Vengeance down when deals with Zebbosai. It's all time to drop the beat here. SWoosH has the Dragon Blade and it was pretty comfortable. Just dealt with Mineral fairly easy. Kolsti was up on that ledge before Christopher as well. Did he mean to drop the bubble on himself or did he mean to drop it on top of Misfits?
It could be either. It's really common, especially on this type of game mode where you Winston, if you've got control of the point, you're going to stand next to the choke and you're just going to zap them. And the second they actually put pressure on you, you just jump away. Just buys you 5 more seconds and forces them to use cooldowns they didn't want to use. I remember
Miro used to do that a heck of a lot, actually. But he still does now, but everyone also does it. Sound barrier for Misfits here. They know they really need to force this fight out. They've got a Transcendence also waiting. They've got a lot of ultimates to invest into this fight, so they better hope it works out. Nevix attack visor in, neptuNo down. Now, of course, he needs to get through this Winston bubble and look elsewhere. He does manage to get a shot towards SWoosH there. I don't even know if he knew SWoosH was there, but it don't matter because obviously your tracking is godlike when you have ultimate. That's all good. Mineral finds Finnsi. Start up on that point that they really need to take this back. Now they might be able to flip it here and keep themselves in this.
4 ultimates used to be able to take control of the point. That's a massive investment. They can't afford to do that every single time. They got the early pick onto Logix as well, but every single time throughout this tournament, Misfits have had to expend more ultimates than their opposition to be able to get into the same situations. And they don't have that killer instinct just to be able to see, this is the opportunity, let's go for it, let's maximize it. Maybe there's some calling or some leadership issue or something like that, but they look like they're lacking that predatory instinct.
Well, it's going to be goodbye to the suit here, and neptuNo wasn't able to escape it. Manneten manages to get a self-destruct kill, but SWoosH is on the point and he's at large, and he has a Dragon Blade as well. It does get knocked back briefly. That was beautiful from Manneten. He actually comes forward and boops SWoosH out away from Nevix and allows Nevix to get some breathing room.
Great play by him. Misfits staying in control of the point. That's been a trend as well for Misfits. when they're playing on Nepal in particular. They never used to enjoy playing the map, I don't think, when they were playing online. Obviously, seem to have, I mean, they've picked it here. This has been their loser pick, so they're obviously more comfortable on it now. When they're in control, they're very good.
I think as well, like this kind of map is much harder to stall for long periods in Lijiang Tower. Misfits don't generally prefer to play control maps. I think they much prefer Assault, actually, if they could choose it, but that's the way the map pool works. You've got to play everything if you want to be a champion. Sound barrier out here for Misfits now. Most of it's decayed away, and Manneten's taking a heck of a lot of damage. You can see Zebbosai is being pressured. His Transcendence gets forced out there. He's a little bit concerned, I guess, maybe even to respond to the attack visor of Finnsi, which won't be very effective given that ultimate's in play. Sound barrier now out from Movistar Riders, and it's 93% for Misfits on the point.
Another supporter was taken down there as well. They got the pick onto Dante when he was at 95% here, so gives Misfits a great opportunity to be able to take this round early on. Difficult for Movistar to be able to re-engage, but they still have Logix on the point, dipping and dancing away from everybody, keeping that overtime active. The burning rope is ticking down, and they can't quite get there, even with Dante popping off his Transcendence, just getting punched back.
Reinforce just wants to dance. That's all he wants to do. He just wants to make friends, and Dante's going to send Orms right towards him. He doesn't quite get the finish, actually, on Reinforce. He's able to stay alive for a little bit longer. Finnsi needs to abscond rather rapidly here and get back to the point, but no! The zoning of Manneten gets the job done. The self-destruct on the point forces Movistar Riders away for long enough that Misfits actually get around here. They're not looking happy, they're looking determined, they're looking a little bit annoyed, but Movistar Riders, of course, on the screen still look pretty happy.
Yeah, Manneten deserves a lot of credit for that round. There was the only difference between the comps was Manneten was on the D.Va, and he kept using the Matrix to keep the Zenyatta alive when Logix was going flank, and then 5 seconds that he was buying was enough for them to stall and then eventually get kills like.
That's a good composition to use into the triple DPS as well, because you've got Manneten to be able to peel for all of those people and apply a lot of pressure in the front line as well.
Yeah, teams are going towards D.Va more and more over time. I think Korea, maybe.
Cloud9 are playing it excellently as well. Zifa's amazing on that particular hero.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a huge impact as well. I think North America actually kind of adopted D.Va a little bit earlier on than Europe did, back when Europe were very much still playing a lot of Xayah and a lot of their compositions, but now obviously we're starting to see that equilibrate a little bit more. Oh, that's a bit nasty for Zebbosai. The damage was there from Kolsti, and neptuNo just gets a little bit of extra damage to finish the job off, and you can see how much TviQ's being pressured. Forced to recall, Kolsti able to be everywhere at once here, not only peeling for his backline, but pressuring the enemies.
He managed to get on the Zenyatta without even using his shift, which allows you can just zap him and then just jump away and you're not going to die. It was really, really well played.
They're playing a triple tank composition, but without a Reinhardt here. They've got the D.Va and the Zarya alongside Kolsti. It's the kind of composition that Cyclowns used to run a lot as well. I think they were the guys that kind of perhaps pioneered or at least popularized it within Europe. It's a good comp.
And I feel like Movistar as well also, they're quite aware of the frustration of going up against the D.Va, so they bring the Xayah in here as well. It is going to pressure Manneten. It would have pressure Manneten further if he'd come out on D.Va at all. He actually started with Genji. Now he's going to play Xayah.
Manneten's a very good Zarya, in my opinion. His ultimates, I mean, they often don't get the follow-up, actually, but that's been a trend throughout Misfits and all of their ults. His actual base mechanics on the hero are excellent.
Well, Finnsi struggles a little bit there. I think he got caught up with a lot of those players from Misfits while Movistar was sitting back on the point there. So maybe a little bit of an interesting split up. We saw Dante doing damage. It was a long way away from where Finnsi was in general. So Sound Barrier comes out here for Movistar Riders. They actually want to contest this despite losing a couple of players early. This may have been a bit of an unwise investment here. They throw the Sound Barrier in. They lack the players though to really follow it up.
Nevix had to use ult though, so they weren't necessarily down in ult economy because of it.
So it's a worthwhile trade. You're going to draw the attack visor out of Nevix for that. You lose the point, fair enough. But they had a chance. It's always worth the risk, I guess, in some of those cases to try and even win a fight when you have negative ult economy. But now, Finnsi has a Graviton.
He does indeed. They're going to be trying to put that in a decent situation. Zebbosai's got the ultimate to try and avoid that one. Misfits with 2 support ultimates, so perhaps Finnsi not going to get the best out of this. It's not like they have the pulse bomb to try and combo up with it, so see where he ends up placing this one. No D.Va that he has to worry about. Catches 3 of them in there. In comes the self-destruct at the same time, and that's going to catch 3 big players. CWoosH.
We were talking about this before. CWoosH as well playing that D.Va, not something we always see from him, normally on that Genji. But again, you have a Transcendence, that's all well and good. But if Movistar realize that Mineral had already used his Sound Barrier, then they can still go for that combo and know that Zebbosai won't be able to keep his team safe from it.
Misfits have got a Graviton of their own cooking up, but Movistar, they're 60% on the board, and they've got the Transcendence to try and play off of it. They don't have any self-destruct. They've got the Pulse Bomb to see if they can combo that, but Manneten's still pretty far away. He has to just be building up damage.
He's not really gotten that Graviton as quickly as he would have liked, and he goes down now as well, so missing more of an opportunity to build up to a Graviton that Misfits sorely need. You can see TviQ had a Pulse Bomb. He would have loved to have combined it with Manneten, but he said he has to use it frivolously, and it doesn't even get any kills. Oh, another ult down the drain for Misfits. Nothing gained from that one. Nevix hoping to rewrite that story, and he does. It's going to get SWoosH out of the suit at the very least. He couldn't find Logix, though. He managed to recall out of the way just in time. At least he's got TviQ to back him up a little bit more, and Mineral also getting involved in the fight in the later stages. Movistar Riders have stalled this out admirably, though. They're going to be on 99% before Misfits can even turn his back around, and Logix and Finnsi might be here to make it their own. They don't even need the whole team. Finnsi backs away briefly. The Graviton got eaten by Manneten. He spent so long trying to save it up, and it was all for nothing.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for Misfits. He gets the ultimate and unfortunately gets eaten, utterly wasted, and now Movistar Riders in a great position to take this one. The sound barrier coming out. There's only 2 players alive from Misfits. That's going to be the reply, 1-1 on Nepal.
neptuNo sped in and killed 3 people during that fight as Lucio. He loves to take 1v1 versus anyone. He doesn't care that it's Lucio. He'll take it, and he wins far more than he should.
It's funny, we were talking about this last night. I was talking to Crusade about it, actually. Sort of saying that sometimes you see, like, Lucio on a kill feed getting, like, triple kills, and sometimes it's just, like, final hits or, kill confirms, we'll call them. But sometimes if you can actually witness moments where those Lucio players pop off, you got to realize that happens a lot more often now that his damage has been adjusted so he can be more part of that fight. So it's definitely not something worth overlooking.
He's a great Lucio, and when he moves over to the Sombra as well, he really opens up something new for the team. Very talented player. Great mind for the game as well, I think. And they've managed to tie this one up. I'm interested to know what they're going into with Sanctum here. They look like, again, they want a match with the dive comms. Playing this 2-2-2, peel composition here, Misfits. They don't want to try and move over to tanks on Sanctum. They're just happy to play the game of their opponent rather than the map.
As always. As usual. Well, let's hope it works out for Misfits this time. Of course, they managed to pick up that last round on Shrine. That was actually relatively strong for them here, so there's definitely life in them yet. But again, it must be tough when there's maybe not so much riding on this particular map or than the rest of the maps. But we'll see what Nevix and the Misfits are made of regardless. Bit of a Winston battle to the end. It looks like Kolsti went down, and that means Reinforce can jump back into the fray, but he's met face first with, well, some balls, I'll be honest, from Dante, and he cleans them up pretty comfortably. Movistar Riders are going to win this first fight to start things off.
And when you're in control of Sanctum, tiny little choke points that you have to engage through. Not quite the same as when you're running tanks, massive CC ultimates and huge amounts of damage and blocking right up close. But Movistar are going to apply a lot of pressure to them as soon as they poke their heads out. Huge amounts of damage and poke coming out from these comms.
Now, Zebbo, he still loses the ammo if he cancels his right click with the kick, doesn't he? Or does he get that ammo refunded back? Not sure. I don't know. Yeah, it's something players do, obviously. If they don't want to let all the orbs go, they just melee to interrupt it. I believe you still lose the ammo and have to reload after. But that's, by the by, Logix finds Mineral with a Pulse Bomb. That's a nasty pick to pick up there as well. Must have been hard to connect it. But still, Nevix is trying to fight back. He knows he's lost Manneten's Diva suit there, so that made Misfits that much more susceptible to Finnsi's tactical visor. And you can see how low he made them. With Manneten being a priority, it opens the way for Finnsi, not just to get kills, but to really lay Misfits very low. It's super easy for someone like Kolsti or SWoosH to come in and clean off the rest of the damage.
They've got ultimates ticking up here for Movistar Riders as well. 50%. Misfits finding it difficult to engage in. They're having to pop out ultimates and pop abilities and take a load of damage just when they're coming in through the choke point. The positioning so great for Movistar, able to apply a lot of damage, and Zebbosai engaging with the Transcendence here.
Yeah, and Dante has to respond here, so a couple seconds is spent him actually trying to get towards his team, but it's fine. They actually lay this for the sound barrier. This is super interesting for Movistar Riders. They're investing heavily in this fight. Kolsti falls despite having the sound barrier, and that's now expired. And Misfits have taken the point during that battle. So that's 2 support ultimates that Movistar have invested there for very little gain.
They really got a good trade out of that one, Misfits. Massive amounts of damage coming into them. I think Manneten and Reinforce did a really good job of being able to stay alive and still be able to engage. The tank line doing well for them. They've still got support all in the back.
Yeah,
that's an interesting one.
But I mean, they can force a fight off the back of the sound barrier and buy themselves some time and ultimate percentage because they knew that they would have that ult, that Movistar wouldn't be able to respond in kind. So getting these couple kills, you get a bit more stagger as well. You pressure out. And it's okay because you know that the contingencies are no longer present for Movistar Riders and you're safe just trying to get in their face.
The ability to track the enemy supporters is really important. Like you said, if you know you have one, you can just rush straight in and you're always going to win that fight because you have 4 times the HP of your opponents.
And I guess at least that way you can dictate the fight on your own terms instead of having to receive the fight on the point. Zebbo now has the Transcendence available. Those SWoosH going to come in with a Dragon Blade here. TviQ turns Logix earlier on and he gets the Pulse Bomb. That's a huge performance from TviQ in that fight. Picking off Finnsi Neptuno with that Pulse Bomb. That's huge huge for Misfits. They win 2 in a row, essentially. CWoosH still at large here. Needs to be shut down, and it's going to be a long climb up, but he's going to make it surely. No! Oh, it's so close. It's CWoosH. Going to run out of gas halfway up the mountain.
CWoosH is onomatopoeic. It's the sound it makes as you fall into an abyss and just...
Exactly. Prophetic almost, Josh. But Finnsi comes back in with attack visor here as well, and Misfits, well, we know they've been relatively ham-handed with their support ult usage in the last 2 fights to try and force them for themselves. They couldn't really do much about that, and they've given it back to Movistar Riders. So Misfits, that last fight maybe didn't need to go so aggressive, but again, they've got to take this point back. It's a good start though. neptuNo's down.
Here's a big flank coming out from Logix. Zebbosai, huge amounts of pressure in the back. He's going to fall. Pulse bomb doesn't hit anybody, though. A lot of damage onto Nevix, but the rest of his team is getting shredded here. He couldn't turn enough eyes, and that single pick onto Zebbosai, not quite enough. Misfits decided to focus forwards, and they're getting the picks. They're going to be able to recap, and now they're looking in a good position to take Sanctum.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to sort of cap the point amongst that fight, which is actually huge. It's going to give you on average like an extra 5% if a fight's not already over. So if you outmaneuver on this map, it can pay off so much, especially in a war of attrition sense in the long term. So that now puts the pressure on Movistar Riders. They're going to go now. It's going to be 97%. Guess what? No ultimates. They need to dry fight now to win the map, or at least keep themselves in it. neptuNo has a sound barrier. It's all they've got, but they've already lost Logix. This could be nasty. The economy just maybe not present for Movistar Riders here, but Finnsi's able to find Nevix. Either way, he was tack visoring. He got picked off by the rocket while he was trying to deal death, and that is a huge pick-off for Movistar Riders. What a beautiful Helix rocket coming out from Finnsi, and now CWoosH is forcing that ultimate out. This might be earlier than Misfits would have liked to have used the Transcendence, but still, CWoosH is down. Dante finds TviQ though. This could be spicy.
CWoosH was absolute milliseconds away from picking Zebbosai before he got his ultimate as well. 95% or something, but Misfits are going to take it. 99 and then 100 to make this one 2-1 on Nepal. They've still got life in them.
neptuNo was so close to being on that point there as well. I think they might have got booped off of or something.
Yeah. Kolsti was 98% on ult as well, and if he'd managed to get that 2%, maybe he could have jumped in and stalled forever. There was 2 fights over that where Riders lost a member pre-fight, and it was still in 99 to 99, so it tells you a lot about how good the Riders players are.
Yeah, and Finnsi, I think Finnsi got knocked off the map as well there, which didn't really help things at all. Nevix could have been at it all there with that attack visor. Finnsi just lined him up and sent a rocket straight for his gob.
They're going for the triple tank composition again from Movistar without the Reinhardt. So why on this one in particular, Chris?
The strength of this comp is all about being able to survive that initial dive, and when you're so close to each other, it's really easy to gain stuff like Zarya charge, which I think is the real key to this comp.
Zarya shields as well. And the first time we saw Misfits go, I think up against you guys actually, it was very much about the Zarya shields on Hollywood. So something to keep in mind. And of course, Manneten very good at piloting this particular hero. We'll see if he can chart it up nice and fast. Reinforcer down first. Logix picked him off, and that might be that lack of mobility of the Reinhardt here that actually hurts Misfits to start with. Now Movistar want to exacerbate that little advantage they have. They think they've caught out Logix, but he's Tracer, he just blinks away. And now Misfits have actually put themselves in a compromising position inside a very enclosed space.
To be fair though, Manneten's on massive amounts of charge. If they're able to heal back up and re-engage, they're in a decent position. The fact that they were even able to stay alive there and Manneten continues to generate charge is a credit to them because they're under so much pressure. Reinforce goes with a mad charge straight in. Huge amount of space gain for the rest of his team as he turns all the eyes and Nevix picks up the kills.
I love it sometimes. I mean, this is a bit like Christopher actually. Christopher likes to go for these crazy charges as well, and somehow people just get sucked into his gravity and pinned up against the wall. But it gets turned around. Finnsi actually manages to stand tall. And the reality is Misfits were kind of staggered in that fight. Reinforce managed to get position on the point, but he lost a teammate just before he arrived via that charge.
Kolsti ulted 3v1 and still killed 2 and survived, so he played that pretty well.
It's so good, man. It's funny because Misfits had to disengage the prior fight because they were busy trying to chase Logix and got well out of position. So this has hurt them a lot. They've lost a lot of percentage just for maneuvering issues. Graviton in, it does stick. Pulse bomb there as well. Logix just puts it under their feet. A Mineral Manneten are no more. The Transcendence. Oh, Zebbo, yeah, he knows. It's just to get in the taxi out of here. It's the rough part of town. You don't want to be meeting Movistar Riders in a dark alley at night. And 53% now on that one, and these ultimates are not coming at the right time for the Misfits.
Another advantage of the Movistar Riders composition. SWOOSH on Diva's putting a lot of pressure on Manneten. He's got the Graviton, same as Finnsi did, but he can't just throw it out with reckless abandon in exactly the same way as the Icelandic Zarya did over from Riders. Manneten has to be super careful with how he places this one. Got eaten last time, but he is going to be able to fit that one down. Catches a couple of players in it. Soundbarrier used as well, though. The follow-up not quite there just yet, but a lot of damage done.
Yeah, that was nice. Seeing the sound barrier, Misfits knew they had to Earth Shadow to follow that up.
Yeah,
because the CC was about to time out from the Graviton, and they wouldn't have had enough damage there. So clever from Reinforced to know, yes, I'm committing a Graviton and Earth Shadow to this fight, but we absolutely need it to win.
He timed it perfectly as well, waited just before the CC ran out and layered it perfectly, so you had another couple of seconds of them all being on the floor.
Now making a switch over to the Winston as well, which is an interesting one. Certainly play the high ground slightly better. Great synergy as well between the Winston and the Zarya in this composition.
Now, we're just taking some high ground position here as well. And this is obviously what you often see on Village. Teams try and set up high ground, get a good amount of information. Also, they know who to dive. They can set up Discord orbs pretty easily. But Kolsti's been delivered that one pretty early on. He went deep for Zebbosai, and Zebbosai survived, and neptuNo comes through. He finishes what Kolsti started. Unfortunately, that may not still be enough, but Logix doesn't really care about Logic, in fact, I guess, as he finds Manneten, tries to play up against the numbers despite being behind. TviQ, though, definitely going to be looking for this in Yata, and Dante is not going to be able to get away. Tries to go crane style, hoping to flap his wings and escape with that right click, but it won't happen. Reinforced to clean up the fight.
Misfits are in a good position here as well. Ultimate's getting live for their supports and Nevix. So they're in a good position to be able to hold on. It's about their ultimate economy here as well. It's been a struggle for them to get value out of their ults. And Movistar Riders have been excellent at being able to force out support ultimates from their opponents without investing anything themselves. So the aggression comes in, and Misfits choosing to use their ultimates proactively here.
Yeah, again, the same as they did on Sanctum here. They probably recognized as well that the ultimates maybe were not present on Movistar Riders if they're keeping track of them properly, which I wasn't, so credit to those guys. I can even look at it on the screen. But they took an aggressive fight. They get themselves some ultimate percentage. Note that they don't invest too much of theirs as well. So Dragon Blade and a Sound Barrier, that's acceptable when you have a Transcendence for the next.
Yeah, the setup that Misfits are using on this point is you just
How'd he get that? He was super deep at the spawn.
Whatever door you go through, we're going to spam you, and you're just going to have to speed and just jump blindly. And then it's really easy to win a fight if you force your opponent to not have the vision.
But look at this, it's 95%. That double kill from TviQ may have actually set this up here for Misfits, and we didn't even realize it. Logic goes down to the point, he's fallen to mineral, and now this has forced Movistar Riders into full stall. They're just going to throw themselves at this. Now they're roping, it's overtime. It'll be ticking down. Then SWoosH is trying to make something happen, but Transcendence is so annoying to try and cut through. High ground for Finnsi, though. Surely not again. Surely not again. Finnsi is going to turn this around along with SWoosH. Manneten gets taken out of his suit. It's still overtime. But Movistar Riders have got the players here. They're going to sit down on the point, and there's not much TviQ can really do. He can try and stall this one out, but still, they're dangerously close to losing as well. Misfits, it's 86% for Movistar Riders. They have some key ultimates here.
The huge ultimates coming up for them. They've got the Sound Barrier and the Primal Rage, massive amounts of stalling, damage mitigation, and Misfits are getting pressured so hard. Zebbosai under attack from Logix as they push forwards now again. Movistar Riders with the Sound Barrier, they're looking to engage and finish this one out.
TviQ just respawned 2 seconds ago. He wasn't there for the start of this fight. He knew he had to go. Misfits are completely split up there. They had this in the bag. TviQ set this up for them with that pulse bomb, and now it's all gone wrong. It's all gone the other way. It's 2-2, and Movistar Riders turn it around with an incredible late round play. Thanks mostly, of course, well, to all of them, but Finnsi and SWoosH there in those last moments getting some crucial kills. Again, so clutch on these control maps.
I don't know if I've ever seen a team who can start fights so poorly, lose a member, and still win them so consistently like Riders seem to do.
I think it's a credit to their positioning as well. They set the fights up well so that even if they lose a player, they're getting maximum value out of all the rest of their team. Finnsi coming up on the high ground there, making sure that he takes a circuitous route, but sets up that tactical visor beautifully, pinces them as well, because the rest of the Movistar Riders were moving around the opposite side of the point.
And if you're TviQ, you're so mad because he did linger on that point to try and stall it out for a little bit longer. And by the time he realized he needed to double blink away, he got killed on his way back to base. He didn't spawn back in until Movistar were 98% on that ticket.
And Manneten as well was delaying on the point instead of instantly reacting. This is the difference perhaps between what makes a great diva and a world-class diva.
And this, if Misfits get broken here as well after being in the lead, this is just going to make them even more frustrated. It's going to just really put them in that negative mindset. They need to bring things back a little bit more. And TviQ, he's the guy that pretty much set Misfits up to potentially win. He also put him in a position where they were actually going to lose out there. So that must be a little bit difficult for him. They've got to keep it together.
Misfits were looking so good on Nepal, had a great start. That was on this particular stage as well. Took themselves over to Shrine. Once they were in control, did beautifully, and they're getting the better end of this initial fight. Manneten already applying a lot of pressure. His diva play previously when they were on this stage was excellent.
soaking up a lot of damage here. Ooh, doesn't want to get desuited in a situation like this. He's going to play it by inches, though. He gets back, he's going to heal up now and be ready for this one. Ultimates on the horizon consist of Mineral's Sound Barrier and Finnsi's Tactical Visor as well. Logix also has a Pulse Bomb available, so the DPS players of Movistar Riders have got their ultimates quite early here. We'll look to see how effective they can be.
If Logix can find a pick or attempt to do combine with his team to demech Manneten, they're going to be in a great position. So interested to see where he lays this one out. Again, proactive use of the sound barrier coming out from Misfits. They're going to try and engage. TviQ's the first to fall.
That's really interesting. They use that so early on. Now the attack visor from Finnsi comes in. Manneten got desuited as well. You see the timing. Kolsti jumped on him. Knew he had to get the desuit. And then Finnsi, this is what happens. You fill up the kill feed with Soldier 76 because Movistar Riders respect the Diva must be the first on the chopping block.
Yeah, they're playing that one perfectly. I mean, the issue with playing triple DPS into Diva is that you have to focus down the Diva and you're kind of opening up the rest of the team to try and go onto you if you split attention.
That early sound barrier seems so out of order there.
They baited it, I think.
Yeah, I actually dislike using sound barriers proactively in that sense because you're rushing into them. By the time you've maybe got into the middle of the fight, it's starting to tick away. You're not getting full value out of it, and sometimes you don't even pop an ult out of Riders.
Well, we're going to have a fight going now as Nevix trying to find some shots here. The Transcendence from Zebbosai are going to be helping out, and it's a late sound barrier. I like this from neptuNo. He's going to bring this in now, and you see what we can get with this. The Dragon Blade coming out here, should I say, for CWoosH, but he's got the monkey in his way. He's going to be on his back if he's not careful as well. Kolsti fell to Zebbosai in that fight, so maybe execution there struggling a little bit for Movistar, although Logix always seems to be able to find at least one exit kind of kill in these fights.
Reinforce doing the same thing as Kolsti did to him over on the other map. Just stand in a door frame and you're perfectly fine.
I'm really interested to see, Christopher, how these defensively support ultimates are going to get baited out here as well. Because, yeah, I mean, you recognize that we may even have thought, because we couldn't quite see, it was like Misfits were trying to engage off of it. But if they got forced out by, Logix or someone like that, that's I guess, not as damning for Misfits, but it's also quite great for Movistar.
It's one really good way to use Winston ult is if you jump in and then you force the support and just ult and jump back out. It's a net win for you overall.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an ult you normally use for stalling or for distraction purposes as well. If you can, assess the fact that the value is greater to draw a defensive ultimate out, you're happy with it.
TviQ getting an early pick. Pulse bomb onto Dante, slows them down. They're taking it up at 71%. Again, Misfits looking good when they're actually in control. Both support ults going to be up. See if they engage again aggressively with Mineral.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I mean, not a bad time to do it now, given that they're so close here. If they can sort of stagger these two ultimates out. Finnsi goes down before the fight actually starts here as well. So Movistar have been really reluctant actually to commit to this one, I guess because they don't have those support ultimates. They don't really have much of a buffer. And the timing might have just been bad for them. Their economy might not be in the right place to actually win this round. It could be as simple as that. There's the Transcendence forced out though, so that's the first step. Logix has gotten that one being pushed out of Zebbosai. CWoosH came in with the Dragon Blade. He eventually falls now to Mineral. What can Nevix do now with attack visor to try and stop this? We're in overtime here, and Movistar Riders haven't really had the ultimates to actually give them an opportunity in this round. It's just the way the chips have fallen. It's going to fall 3-2, and that's going to be it. Misfits will win the map. A bit of mismanagement of ultimate there from Movistar Riders. I definitely feel has to have hurt them a bit, Christopher.
I think the key to the victory was the slight adaptation.